Hey 302, I'm Jackie Ferris. Well, a lot of us are just starting to venture out while some of us are still staying home. We're going to take you to Winterthur and talk about all their virtual offerings that you can enjoy from your couch. Stay tuned, the 302 is headed your way.
Hey 302, it's Jackie Ferris. If you're like me, you're just starting to venture out in the community and you're looking for something fantastic to do with your family, one of those places, a beloved spot, Winterthur. I'm joined now by Lois Storr. She is the curator of education at Winterthur. Now, Lois, you guys are open, right?
We are. We have been open to the public since July 1st and to members, and we would love to have you come visit.
Things are a little different now we're coming out of COVID-19, hopefully, fingers crossed. So everybody's social distancing and the way we do things are a lot different. So how is it different when we visit Winterthur?
I think the main difference that people will notice is that we're kind of asking you to do some more advanced planning than you might have in the past. Most of our tickets are available on a timed basis, just as a way to kind of mitigate crowds. We're also asking that people wear face masks. In fact, masks are required when you come. So, just remember to stick that in your pocket too when you come.
So when we come for a visit and we go to the inside, to the gallery, how does that work? We have to go online, buy a ticket. Walk us through the experience.
So I think what you've described is correct. You buy a ticket online, you come to the museum, you can walk probably over to the galleries themselves. The time tickets are available to kind of help control traffic, through those spaces. There's an app that you can download that will kind of give you a route to follow so that everybody's sort of traveling in the same direction and not crossing over. But aside from that, I don't know that there's a huge number of differences between what people would experience on a quote-unquote normal basis.
But you guys have taken some steps with cleaning and everything just to make sure that everything's cool when people come for a visit?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Everybody is being incredibly diligent about making sure all of the protocols in that arena are being followed to the letter. The galleries are being cleaned in between each of those timed ticket slots. So yes, all of those things are being taken very seriously.
So let's talk about, now that we have our safety concerns totally taken care of, let's talk about what we're going to see when we go in. What exhibit is main stage?
So the great sort of installation that's available on the first floor of the galleries right now is offered in conjunction with the 100th anniversary of the women's suffrage movement. And while it doesn't directly address women's suffrage, it takes the approach of telling stories about women represented in our collection in various ways. So there are a couple of different hashtags that we've connected to, creators, thinkers, disruptors, and people, I think, will be really inspired by some of the stories as they relate to different objects.
So whenever we are planning our tour, plan ahead, buy our ticket, and download the app, and all that can be done on the Winterthur website?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So let's talk about the outside. I know a lot of people are looking for, something to do outside. So what can they see outside?
So I think that those who are familiar with the Winterthur Garden won't be disappointed. It is, just as beautiful as it ever was. And while, the garden doesn't have this time of year anyway, the spectacular azaleas or, some of those showier blooms. I think the thing that I most appreciate about it, especially when it's 90 degrees outside, is just the shade. Those tall trees are so beautiful, and I think being amongst them and the giant ferns, particularly in one area of the garden, it's just a relaxing experience. And I think that, everybody has their own favorite spot. That just happens to be mine.
Now, I know that a lot of folks love a picnic. So is this the kind of thing where we can bring our families, we can look at the gardens, maybe have a picnic?
I think so. I think so long as you're mindful of, and respectful of other people's space, and you're, kind of doing your best to kind of stay out of other people's way, I think picnics are just fine.
It's just so beautiful out there and green, even though we've got this humidity. I mean, Winterthur is one of the most beautiful spots in the Wilmington area.
Mm-hmm. I don't disagree with that.
Well, we're going to find out more about what there is to see and do. We talked a little bit about going there in person, but now if you're not able to get out, there are things you can do virtually. We'll talk to Lois about that when we return.
Hi, I'm Sam, and I love the 302.
Hey 302, welcome back. We're talking to Lois Storr over at Winterthur about all the things that you can see and do. We talked a little bit about what you can do in person, but for some of us, we just can't get out. So maybe we've got kids at home, or we've got some time and we really want to enjoy ourselves. So we get online. Lois, tell us, what can we do virtually at Winterthur?
So we have a lot of great options right now for a variety of age groups. I know if you are anything like me, you are a little bit tired of your children, and perhaps looking for an hour where you can have someone else entertain them and really concentrate on your own work. And we have a great program right now called Terrific Tuesdays. It is by no means a substitute for our in-person Terrific Tuesdays, but it's a fully interactive 45-minute program where kids interact with both curators, museum educators. They look at objects. We have a little trivia component of that, or a mystery object. And it's a really great time, and it's also a bargain. All we are charging for that program is $5 for member families and $10 for the general public for every remaining Tuesday this summer. So it's really quite a steal. And I know I have a 10-year-old who has participated in the last two and gotten a lot out of it. So we would love to have more people participate in that.
So it's kind of like a show and tell for kids with a historical object, and it's a learning experience that's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the great things that we've really tried to focus on with our virtual programming is to give people the opportunity they wouldn't have otherwise. So, for example, last week for Terrific Tuesday, we had a woodworker who has done things with us previously Zoom in and do a demonstration from his own workshop in Lancaster County. So it's been great to kind of tap into some of those resources and share them with kids.
So what else do you guys have on tap virtually?
So we have a number of really great trivia nights scheduled for Thursdays. Every Thursday in July and August, we'll be doing virtual trivia. And those programs have been really great because we've been able to use them to kind of unite people from kind of across various areas. Last week, I know we had someone competing from Texas, teaming up with someone here on the East Coast. So it's been a great opportunity to kind of bring people together, which is fun. We are also on July 30th offering an embroidery up close, which is a workshop focusing on some of the needlework featured in our exhibition on Erica Wilson. And our curator of textiles, Laura Mina, is going to be talking a little bit about how conservators care for textiles, sharing some tips for people with their own items. the thing that's really amazed me about that program is among the people we have signed up so far are people from kind of all across the United States. So it's been a really wonderful opportunity for us to engage people with common interests who don't necessarily live locally.
Tell us a little bit about Erica Wilson.
Erica Wilson was a needleworker who in many ways kind of popularized needlework in the US. She is referred to as the Julia Child of needlework, and in fact she had a studio among the PBS studios right next to Julia Child's. She hosted a popular television program that aired for many years, and a lot of kind of famous needleworkers now kind of credit her as getting them interested.
That's amazing. And this coincides with an exhibit?
Yes, and that exhibition will be in the Society of Winterthur Fellows Gallery, as I understand it, and it features some of her needlework that is now in the Winterthur collection.
Excellent. So that must pose some challenges. I know virtually holding a class is one thing, but when you're talking about something as intricate as needlework, you really have to figure out ways to make it engaging as opposed to, something that's static. So talk to me about the challenges of, really bringing this virtual world to life for people at home.
So there are challenges, and I think, just exactly what you've described is sort of foremost among them. And I think, many of the people who work at Winterthur also teach for the various graduate programs, and they've been wonderful at kind of adapting and figuring out how do you do a connoisseurship class remotely, right, via Zoom. So we've been kind of learning from them and learning as we go along. And I think one of the opportunities of doing a virtual class is that you can really show things up close, right? Everybody can look on their screen, you can zoom into something. And in some ways, it's kind of easier to do that remotely than it is in person, right? To have 10 people kind of crowded around a table looking at something. So Laura Mina, our textile conservator, has been kind of employing her newfound skills with teaching to put that workshop together. And I think it's going to be really exciting.
It sounds like it. I'm looking forward to it. But what about, planning? Has this changed the way you plan programs at Winterthur?
I think that it, yes and no. We're still very much looking forward to getting people back on site eventually, right? Whenever that's possible. And so we've been considering, whether or not it is safe and responsible to have people come for a variety of programs. And those that tend to have smaller audiences, we're still hoping to hold in person this fall. But as I said, the remote option gives us the possibility of engaging new audiences who aren't able to travel to Winterthur. In fact, last week we had someone from Arizona participate in a flower arranging program. So I think our planning has been kind of trying to cover all the bases and make sure we have something to offer everybody.
Well, it sounds like you certainly have accomplished that. Lois, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you when we visit Winterthur. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Chip from the ice cream store, and the 302 is one sweet treat.
Hey 302, welcome back. We're talking about all the cool things that you can do at Winterthur, and one of them involves trivia. I'm joined now by Ellie Wallace. She is the Assistant Curator of Education for Family Programming. Did I get that right, Ellie?
That's right, yeah.
So at least I got one of the trivia things correct. So let's talk a little bit about this trivia. How does it work and how do we get involved?
So we really wanted to give people a way to interact with their friends and do something together, even though they might be in different geographical locations and not able to get together at this time. And we had tried out doing an in-person trivia last year, which was really successful and people really loved. So we decided to try to take it online. So we've been using Zoom as our platform. And Zoom has a lot of really great features that allow us to have people work together as a team, even though they are separated by distance. So we send out our Zoom invitation to everybody. We have guest celebrity hosts who are Winterthur personalities, who are content experts in certain areas, who sort of lead you through the night and all of the trivia that we have to offer. And we use Zoom's breakout room features so that people can interact with their teammates and have a really fun time.
So let's talk a little bit about some of the past topics. So you go by, you said you have some of your folks at Winterthur who are experts in one area or another. So what are some of the past themes?
So our very first one, we decided to premiere our new program with our fantastic furniture trivia night. Winterthur is obviously known for its amazing antique furniture, and a lot of the people who flock to Winterthur are antique furniture enthusiasts. So furniture was our very first one. We've also had a ceramics themed night, and last week it was Winterthur history. So all of the Winterthur lovers came and got to battle it out to see who knew the most about Winterthur's history.
So there's probably a lot of DuPont history associated with that night, right?
Yeah.
So what are some of the topics that we're going to be seeing in the future?
So this week we're actually having our Cars of the Jazz Age trivia night for all of our antique autos enthusiasts, of which there are many. We will also be having a women's history trivia night coming up, and we're going to dip our toes into the broad category of American history in August. So those are things that you can look forward to. And our last one this month is going to be an embroidery themed trivia night.
And the suffrage and the embroidery connect to exhibits that you guys have on site. So it's a way, if maybe you enjoy embroidery or you're a history buff in the area of suffrage, you know, to pique your interest and go connect with the exhibit, right?
Definitely. So we really wanted to do something that sort of paid homage to Revision 2020, which is the exhibit that we currently have up, which is honoring the centennial of the women's right to vote. And unfortunately, because of circumstances, not everybody was able to come to Winterthur to see that exhibit in person. We're hoping that when we reopen in a more full capacity, they will be able to. But in the meantime, they can test their knowledge of women's history online with our trivia night.
So whenever somebody joins, how does this work? You get the invitation, and then it's you and 20 other people at the bottom of the screen, or how does that work?
Yeah, so we try to make it sort of as seamless as possible. We know that Zooming with people all the time gets to be a little bit fatiguing, and if you're dealing with a million people on your screen and a million people talking at the same time, it's a little bit difficult. We've all learned those lessons in the past couple months. So what we try to do is we try to have a nice sleek platform. So we sort of conduct the whole night over a nice PowerPoint, which is very visually engaging and clearly lays out the information for you so that it's easy to use. And then I pretty much see everybody on the back end as sort of the runner of the game. I'm sort of running things behind the scenes. We do offer people the opportunity to interact with one another and with our guest hosts. People are welcome to ask questions about the content we're talking about, but we do try to keep it sort of as organized and the least amount of chaos possible.
So you can actually meet new people while you're doing this. Maybe you're into women's suffrage or you're into embroidery. Maybe you meet somebody that's from like Michigan or Hawaii or wherever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We had somebody who tuned in from Missouri the other day, and before we actually got started with our first round of questions, she and her teammate were talking to everybody else on the Zoom about where she was from in Missouri and what she does. So people have been introduced to others, and it's also been really rewarding to see that old friends are reconnecting over these Zoom calls. So at our very first trivia night, a bunch of different furniture enthusiasts from different museums and auction houses and people who had gone to school together came together and got to have a really lovely conversation about something that they're really passionate about.
Okay, so we're talking about trivia. Did you have a trivia question that you were going to ask me? We were talking about that before.
Henry Francis DuPont and Ruth Wales DuPont had two daughters, Do you know what their names were?
Oh, I should know this. I should, but I don't. What are their names?
Pauline Louise and Ruth Ellen.
It's amazing how rich the DuPont history is at Winterthur. I really appreciate Ellie, you taking the time and everything. And if somebody wants to get involved and check out Trivia Night, where do they have to go and what do they have to do?
So you can go right to wintertour.org. We have information about all of our online programs there. It's very easy to sign up online or by calling us.
All right. Ellie, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
That'll do it for this episode of the 302. For more information on Winterthur and all of its virtual offerings, visit wintertour.org. Until next time, I'm Jackie Ferris. We'll see you on the 302.